So if you take a look at the US economy today, you'd probably think things are going pretty well. But what if all that good news is just a facade? Well, that's what we're going to dig into here. The idea that American prosperity might actually be an illusion, one that's built on a mountain of something pretty risky, debt. And, on the surface, it really does. I mean, the stock market's hitting all-time highs, the Fed's game plan for inflation seems to be working, and hey, Arby's even has new steak nuggets. By a lot of the usual measures, life seems kind of good.
See, while everyone's distracted by the headlines, a pretty serious credit crisis is brewing right under our noses. And it's one nobody really seems to want to talk about. It's a problem that hits not just the government, but millions of households all across the country.
And that, right there, is the core idea we're exploring. This booming economy, it might be a lot more fragile than it looks, held together by these crazy, unprecedented levels of both government and personal debt. It's almost like a quick patch-up job that could fall apart at any second. All right, so let's dive into this. We're going to start by zooming way out to get a sense of just how massive this problem really is on a national scale. And just a heads up, the numbers are, well, they're truly mind-boggling. So get this, the U.S. national debt has now officially blown past $38 trillion. To give you some perspective, that's more debt than any other nation has ever held in the history of the world. And of course, carrying that much debt isn't free. The cost just to pay the interest on that debt is now $1 trillion a year. That's $1 trillion that isn't going to building roads or to healthcare or to education. It's just to keep the lights on and pay the bill. But here's where it gets really wild. Check out this comparison. America is now spending more on interest payments than on its entire national defense budget. In fact, that interest payment is the single fastest growing expense in the whole federal budget. It's jumped 34% in just the last 2 years. Insane.
Okay, so that's the big picture. Now let's bring this down to earth and see how this whole thing is playing out in the finances of everyday Americans. Turns out, when the government maxes out its credit card, a lot of people tend to follow suit. Well, total U.S. household debt has hit a record $18.6 trillion. That is a staggering 60% jump in just a decade. It means the average American is now over $90,000 in personal debt.
And you can see right here how it all breaks down. The debt is spread across every major part of American life. We see these huge numbers in mortgages and auto loans, but there's one slice of this pie that's especially troubling, and we've got to look closer at it: student loans.
The source we're looking at uses this really potent metaphor for the $1.7 trillion in student loans. They call it the herpes of the financial world. So why that term? Because it almost never goes away. It's incredibly hard to get rid of, even if you declare bankruptcy. And it's not like you can just sell your degree when times get tough. And this is where the alarm bells really start ringing. Just a year ago, less than 1% of borrowers were seriously behind on their student loans. Today, that number has exploded to over 9%. That is a massive, massive leap in a very short amount of time.
Okay, so let's zoom in one more level, because it's not just about traditional debt anymore. There's a whole new wave of tech tools that are making it easier and faster than ever for people to get into financial trouble. First up, good old-fashioned credit cards. Balances just crossed $1 trillion for the first time ever. And to put that in perspective, Americans have racked up more credit card debt in just the last 4 years than in the entire decade after the 2008 financial crisis. And then, just when you thought things couldn't get any crazier, Silicon Valley waltzes in with its latest innovation: buy now, pay later. These services, they're marketed as this form of financial empowerment, but when you look closer, they're often just a sleek, beautifully packaged credit trap. I mean, the way it works is just so simple, it's almost seductive. You see something you want online, you click a single button to pay for it in installments, and bam, instantly, you owe money. The whole process is frictionless, and it makes taking on debt for even the smallest stuff feel totally normal. So, about 15% of Americans are using these things now. But get this, and this part is really telling. Almost half of them end up regretting it. That tells you this isn't about buying fun stuff. People are using it to finance their daily survival, paying for groceries in 4 easy installments. All right, so let's step back and connect the dots here. We've got historic government debt, we've got record-breaking household debt, and we've got all this new tech making it easier than ever to borrow. When you put all that together, it creates a very particular kind of economy.
And this brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer, what the source calls the hot potato economy. From the outside, it looks like a boom, but underneath it all, it's just a massive game of passing debt around. Every single record stock market headline, every strong consumer spending report, it's all built on a foundation of borrowed money.
And really, that's the bottom line here. The country isn't building sustainable wealth for tomorrow. It's borrowing from the future just to finance the present. And the very foundation of the economy is starting to crack because it's surviving on debt, not on real, actual growth.
So that leads us to our final and maybe most important point. What makes this kind of crisis so uniquely dangerous isn't some big, sudden crash. It's the exact opposite.
See, the real danger here is that it's quiet, it's gradual, it's happening right out in the open. But because all the surface level signs, low unemployment, high stock prices, they all still look good, it's incredibly easy for everyone to just ignore the deep structural problems that are building up just beneath the surface.
So it really leaves you wondering, right? Are we actually building a prosperous future? Or are we all just playing a massive game of hot potato, passing the debt along and just hoping we're not the one left holding it when it finally gets too hot?